Hi, I'm Patty McGarrahan from the Mindz Eye, and today I have Stephanie Forlini with me today. She's been a student of mine in Reiki and a couple other classes that she's taken, and she's doing some really fabulous stuff. We're going to direct you at two during here because she's done TikToks, and one of her TikToks even got her brought somewhere, right, for them to work with you on the show?
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that as well. I'm real excited to have you here today.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell you about the TikTok thing before we get into some of your other holistic stuff?
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And the TikToks, yes, I do post TikToks and I talk about metaphysical experiences, phenomena, and more in kind of an educational approach to it so people can learn to do it, themselves as well. And in the beginning, I was doing a lot of researching about different types of phenomena that I personally was experiencing, and I finally was able to get some answers and everything. So I went down like a little rabbit hole, and I ended up doing research regarding Russell Targ and the Monroe Institute and all of the consciousness studies that were being done by the CIA, essentially, like with the taxpayer money. So I was, going into the research, and Russell Targ was the primary physicist on the Stargate program, the CIA Psychic Research Program, and he also was like a co-inventor of the laser, which I thought was really neat. And essentially they had seen a TikTok that I posted about him, and they asked if I wanted to speak with him at this conference that they were holding, and I fainted a little bit. I was like, yes, I would love to do that. So yeah, they saw my TikTok, I guess, and I was able to ask Russell Targ some questions and understand his experience a little bit more about that.
Excellent. And your TikTok, is it under your name or is it under?
My TikTok, it's Stephanie Amber 07.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've watched some of them. I follow you, so I've watched quite a few of them.
I love it.
And I absolutely love it. So in the meantime, some of her metaphysical training did start at the Mindz Eye.
Definitely.
Yes, and was it Reiki? Reiki was the first thing that you took?
Yeah, Reiki was the first thing. Patty, you were the first class ever in the metaphysical realm. I was so new here. I knew absolutely nothing. I knew I was having weird experiences, and I felt like I was getting a little bit of info here and there, and I forget how I even got connected to you, but I don't know. It's so long ago.
Right. But anybody that takes a class with me knows that it doesn't end up just the class.
Yeah.
Because I just believe that everything we get taught is another tool in our toolbox. So the discussions, if I have metaphysical students like you and some of the other ones that I've had with you, the metaphysical students will get on every subject of the rainbow.
Definitely, yeah. It's just in the interest realm.
Absolutely. And now, are you doing Reiki on people?
I still do Reiki, yes. I do Reiki as well, reading tarot still, of course. And now I've recently gotten certified this past year in Soul Blueprint Realignment.
Okay.
So
what is that, like the records?
Yeah, so essentially I've been attuned to access the Akashic records and get information for people, obviously with their consent, regarding their soul blueprint and different types of energy in their soul that helps them learn how to bring that into the physical reality.
I didn't for years, but probably in the last maybe 4 or 5 years, past life stuff has started coming into my regular readings as well. A lot of times it's just something like, it could be, oh my gosh, you were sisters in another life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And a little bit, and it keeps coming up more and more.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's very interesting that you got certified in that.
Thank you.
And do you find people intrigued by that?
So intrigued, yeah. I have had so many sessions with different clients, and I've had people cry just in how much it resonated with them in a way that they never knew that it could. And that's actually why I got certified, because I went through the experience myself. I was referred by a friend, and it was the most life-changing thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, excellent.
I felt like I had been trying to figure out what was going on, or what was kind of contributing to my mental state and everything, like my unhappiness and, the previous years and everything, and way more than that, but it all stemmed from past lives, which I found out in the Soul Blueprint. And when I tell you, Patty, my practitioner that did the reading for me did the clearing before I even knew, and I had like physical symptoms that coincided with when he did the clearing. And then after that, like, it was about a year ago right now, actually, and my life has been turned around completely in the best way.
I have to laugh. I wish I didn't. I became a little bit of a past life regression as far as hypnosis wise doing it. Like almost a little bit of a junkie from it. Yeah. I had a fabulous shaman teacher that also taught you like all different stuff. Yeah. She was beautiful. Nice. And that's where I got that, where everybody needs a little bit of as many things as you can get type of thing. And I got to tell you something. It clarified so many things in my life, but there's a couple of things that I wished I learned ahead of time, because I didn't realize I had put out contracts for things that, when you say them out loud, you put out contracts for them, and people don't realize that. And then you complete the contract. And a couple of contracts I finished, I really don't see how they were useful, other than they had to close them because I put it out into the universe that I wanted that. So do you do anything where you help them, like get rid of some of the soul contracts that are no longer of the highest good?
Yes, actually. So
I love that.
I actually go in depth with them. So not only do I personally pull that information from the Akashic records, for obviously your Akashic record, if I was reading for you, I would pull that information to talk about your inherent energy centers that are most prevalent for you, X, Y, and Z. There's a bunch of different topics in that first part. The second part is actually an explanation of the negative karmic patterns that your soul is still going through. And every single time there is a correlation between the past life experiences that I pull from the Akashic records and that person's present life. Like, they are currently going through that same thing, different font, I like to say.
Well, I find with the hypnosis, which is a little different, but still the same idea, I find that we don't really get sent back into records that aren't part of this lifetime. Do you know what I mean? And just a couple of quick crazy stories for the people out there to let you know, like, what goes on with this. They had a woman in Chicago, 650 pounds. They couldn't figure out why. Everything they tried didn't work. Past life regressionist came in. She put out a soul contract. She was Arabian dancer and stuff. And she had a very kind head of the harem, was absolutely very kind to the women, and he died, and someone took over that was very mean, and she was the youngest and the most beautiful, so she got picked all the time. So she put on the weight to do that. Once there's a realization, like you're giving it to them in a reading, once there's a realization, they can dissolve that. And I had followed her for a while, and she had lost 225 pounds in like 13 months.
Wow.
Just from being aware that she put that contract out.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what I do, going into it, like seeing those karmic patterns and everything, but also explaining to the client how they even happened in the first place. Like you said, you don't even realize you're speaking contracts. You don't even realize that you are creating constraints with people in your life. And these experiences go so unnoticed. They're so unconscious. We don't even know that we're doing it. But that's why we talk about what a constraint is, for example, if you're stuck with that, like how that would show up in your present life and how you actually perpetuate that subconsciously by, maintaining your same actions that resulted to this. So for example, like a constraint would be doing something that you don't really want to do, but like your parents want for you. Like, I don't really want to marry this person, but my parents really want it, so I'm going to do it to make them happy. Constraint. Like these little things where we essentially sacrifice our interest for, convenience of others actually can create contracts and constraints and all of these types of things. So that's why I bring it to like a verbal attention with them, not only just clearing it, because I do clear it on my own as well, but of course, if I don't bring it to their conscious attention, like you said, it's just going to be a perpetuating pattern because they don't know that it's causing a problem.
Right. They had Brian Weiss worked with a woman years ago that I absolutely love. She couldn't have children and couldn't hold children. And come to find out, in many lifetimes before, her place where she lived was being attacked. She leaned over the children to protect them, and then all of a sudden she realized if she died, she'd die on top of her children. So she said, please don't let my children live past me. Well, that's such an open-ended contract. It put her that she either miscarried or couldn't get pregnant after that.
Yeah.
And again, as soon as it got removed, bada boom, do you know what I mean? She had a child.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing how it took place. And the other thing that I find so amazing about our past lives and the contracts and stuff, one of the ones that I wish, because I wouldn't have had to deal with my ex-husband, which isn't nice, but anyway. But in that particular past life, one of the things that blew my mind is like my daughter was my mother in that life, and my ex-husband was my father. And in that lifetime, I prayed that I could save my mother from my father's inability to take action. And we had the same thing happen in this life, but it was so funny, you don't realize how much this is a part of you. My daughter was born rolling her, I asked her, she said, forgive the people, they know not what they do, because she was taken to be burned in Scotland. And my daughter, I said to her, well, what about father? Do not blame the people, they know not what they do. Well, what about father? She rolled her eyes. She was born rolling her eyes at him. It was like,
wow,
so strange how it works.
Yeah.
So strange how it works.
It is.
And before I even knew any of this, I used to say to her, I'm the mother in this lifetime. You know, so it's the pattern. Don't you feel that the pattern is so strong that we don't realize how much that we've contracted over time?
Yeah, it's mind-blowing now, especially coming into understanding these esoteric concepts and everything, because I wasn't raised like this. I had to essentially unlearn the closing off of it and reopen it again. So it's really fascinating how there are so many underlying patterns that just aren't recognized by our like classical science, and that's actually being explained now in quantum physics. So that's like another area of my interest where I, delve deep.
I'm just starting to dig into that.
Oh my God, you're gonna love it. Yeah, I have been doing some research and essentially just kind of got led there from my own metaphysical experiences. Like I've had experiences that are just so sci-fi, but I'm like, this is happening to me. This is real life right now. So what does this mean? How is this even happening? And, I want to learn more. So I started looking for those answers, and I find one, and everything starts clicking, and then new things click in. And it's just amazing to me how we essentially all can access all of this information. It's the universal wisdom. Like, it's the ability to
I would say
tap
when
in.
it stops making me going, wow, then I'll stop doing
Never.
it.
It can't. I'm amazed.
I'm amazed all the time, too. And no coincidence is a coincidence.
No.
I mean, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
That you realize.
Yeah.
So, no, that is a fabulous thing. And as I said, I wished I do a lot of soul restoration and soul release work. And I so wished I had done it before, because I could have skipped a couple of chapters.
I feel like we always learn. I've had the same thought about a lot of different things. I actually was in law school before I started doing
I did law
this
school
full-time.
too.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I decided at criminal law that if I ever got the law degree, they'd take it away from me, because if I didn't feel that somebody was doing somebody right, I would say hang the sucker, and I don't think that works really well.
That was like my problem
That was
too.
yours.
That was my problem too, because I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, this is more of who can find the best loophole, who can, lie the best through their teeth. Like, it's not really about the justice or the truth of the situation, which is like a really big problem for me. That's just inherently a part of me. Yeah.
Same inherent part of me too.
I would love to do your soul blueprint sometime too, because one of the things that we talk about is like primary energy centers, and everybody has, some input of all of the energy centers, the chakras, but it's essentially one is more prevalent than the others, and it is more focused. I like to describe it as like if you have this energy coming in from, you know, the universe, source, God, whatever term resonates. If you have that energy coming in, the energy center or the chakra, which is your prominent one, is essentially where that faucet is of like where all the energy comes out. And for me, mine is the third eye chakra, sixth energy center of divine truth. And I think yours would definitely be the same, like based on these experiences. Yeah,
it's to be somewhere up there, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So it is the discoveries. And one of the things that I love about you is you've discovered that you've got to heal yourself to be able to work with other people. And that's why I'm constantly, some people say, why are you still taking classes and stuff like that? Well, I think we never stop learning, and we have to never stop. And I don't think your level raises, because there's some people that when I got into this were like way up here. And I caught up to them and passed some of them because I'm constantly seeking out more information and more understanding.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and it's really just about digging deeper. And I personally agree with you. I don't think anybody's ever done learning. I think that's kind of almost like an ignorant response, you know, thinking that you know all there is to know in this entire reality. You know, that's crazy to me.
And I laugh because I tell people a lot of times, I'm saying, if I'm wrong, I'll find out when I die.
Right.
But right now, that's what I'm being told, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So it is crazy. So you're in your business. What you do Reiki, and you do the card readings, and then you do these Akashi records type of thing. I have always skipped that because a lot of the crew that I have coming to me, that would like almost scare them back. So I have to keep some of the stuff soft.
Yeah.
But I am attracting a younger generations now, but at the time it was that middle age, you know, that 40 to 60 crew.
Yeah.
So it was very hard to get them involved in Akashi records and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I just did it, just kind of backdoored.
Yeah, I think now a lot of people my age and, you know, just different generations even now are becoming more enlightened to the fact of like how energy works, and they're feeling it for themselves. They're experiencing it for themselves and saying, wait, there's definitely more here. And it's leaning into that and just asking those questions.
And my leading to starting to look into some of the quantum is because from the younger ones, they're bringing it up.
Wow. Oh my God, that's amazing.
I always say that I think we learn as much from our students as they learn from us.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's like the way to do it is to, you know, learn, have that approach. Because if you go in there, you know, learning something from everybody, from every situation. And I think that's the way to essentially harness all that wisdom and level up, like you said, you know, you reached where the people were because you just had an open mind. And I think that's the most important part is understanding. Literally nobody can know what everything is, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
So it's
But and I also, like a lot of times I have students that get bothered that they go to other thing and they're afraid I'm going to know and it bothers them. I have no problem with that because I think, again, the more perspective you have, the more you can figure out.
I agree, yeah. The more perspectives, the closer to the truth of things, you know? It's like getting different perspectives because everybody's understanding and belief system literally comes from their own experiences, how they were raised, how, you know, their teachers spoke to them, literally everything.
Everything, yeah.
And nobody has the exact same lens. So it's really important to, you know, take into consideration your experiences and, you know, why you think the way that you do so I can understand it with a new light.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a little easier time because even though my parents had a religious side to them, it was more like Northern Baptist, which is much more laid back than a lot of the religious beliefs around here. And my parents were also pretty cool. And I found out that they both have some stuff that in hindsight so brilliant, you know what I mean? I knew my mother did, she saw death. But my father, I thought everything was intelligence. And then soon realized, especially when he went on the other side, that he was it was so much more than just intelligence, you know? And it's an incredible thing, but I was very fortunate because my mom used to every once in a while say, this is Patty the different one, do you know what I mean? But she didn't say it harshly. I love, the way she said it, I loved being the different one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my father, like my brother had the imaginary friend, there was a table setting put for that imaginary friend.
I love that.
Every restaurant and home. So I was very fortunate because their belief systems, they didn't squish what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was very open. So part of what you had to release, I was fortunate in this lifetime I didn't.
Yeah.
And the other fantastic thing I was given in this lifetime, not caring what people think.
I love that.
That I thank them for whatever, that I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, that's like a really interesting perspective too, because I feel like I'm very much on the opposite side of that. Those are two things that I've really had to learn. And essentially the biggest obstacle for me leaving law school was everybody else's perspective of it. Like, I realized I was so miserable. I would rather do anything else than that. And it was really just like the status of the success and everything. So it was very normalized to, kind of forego what you want, what you feel in order to like get approval from society or be seen as successful. So that was a big part of my process here, was I had to get rid of all of that and understand, like, I'm miserable like that. I don't like being like that. Why do I do that? So that's actually part of the book that I'm working on.
Not to go
ahead.
Sorry about that.
No worries. That's part of the book that I'm working on.
I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you.
So what do you have a book title yet?
So it's Everything Is Not As It Seems. And it goes into a lot of different components. Primarily, it essentially extrapolates on a scientific paper that I'm working on, kind of working on quantum physics, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I essentially have been getting like downloads. And from my experiences, I'm being led to the same answers as like quantum physicists, like the co-founder of string theory. Like, I don't have a degree in any of that. I don't know why I would logically know any of this. But from my literal experiences, I've been brought to see these things, and for whatever reason, I can just like see
so much of that.
I can just see the puzzle. Like, I just see it all now, and I'm like, wait, I think I can articulate this in a way that can help.
I have found that a lot of stuff just like that is happening. Do you know what I mean? And it's still happening to me. Do you know what I mean? 65 years old, and I still have these floods coming at me.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if it's like the specific dates or something, like the energy of
It could
collective.
be. It
yeah.
could be.
Because some days for me it's like very influx, and some days it's just like one after another, and I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to make note of that, and I'll see how that pieces together later. And other things too I've had, not so much recently, but within the last like 2 years, I'm sure you're aware of astral projection, or right.
As a kid, I did.
I did too, Patty. I did too.
Yeah.
All the time, and like I didn't know it was that.
The first time I realized that I did it, I was 5 years old, and I still remember this. We're driving through New Hampshire that I've never been to, and I said to my father, "Daddy, please go that way." And he said to me, "Why do you want to go that way?" And I said, "Because there is this cool building, Daddy, with the cow on the top, and we can make our own sundaes there." Whoa. So my parents, it was the wrong direction from where they were going. My father, because he was like a cool guy. He was like, so he went down the road and he turned around, and my parents, I could see their eyes open, because there's the cow, and we went in there, and that is the first incident that I truly remember. But I have discovered every vacation I take, I astral travel to that vacation prior.
Wow.
So I always end up knowing something that's
Yeah.
important that I need to see, sense, or feel.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I love that. Mine started when I was a kid like that too. Not like that, but experiences where I didn't know what was happening or why. It was just very confusing, especially as a child with like no guidance, being, essentially told to read the Bible. Not very helpful. So I had to learn all of that recently again. I think I had shut it down for a long portion of my life, like my late teenage years into, early 20s.
We all have a spell that we shut it down, though.
Yeah.
I did 13 to 18.
Yeah, I think it's pretty normal in that, but it was...
when you look at your friends and you say something like, "Hi, look, isn't that beautiful? All the kids' parents, grandparents and stuff are here to make sure they're not scared." And they look at you like you got 3 heads and a tail.
I'm like, those are the wrong friends. Those are the wrong friends.
They were actually really good people. It was just they didn't understand.
Right, yeah, definitely. And that's like a hard part of it too, is a lot of people, and everybody's at like a different stage or something of understanding this. And I think the biggest obstacle is empathy, honestly. I think it's being able to understand that like something that you experience can still be true even though I don't experience it.
Absolutely.
And it's like hearing the person, you know, like how did that make you feel? Let's talk about it. It's like getting more in-depth information, like really rich, like life experience by talking to somebody, which I think is amazing.
It's absolutely amazing, and I find that almost every day at my shop. And I'm so blessed because I find that. And I have to laugh because I was an accountant. I did the stay-at-home mom. Went to go back, you needed the degree to be accountant. Was bored with it, so I went into law school. Decided that I would get knocked out right away. Then I went to do quantitative business analysis and was going to move to Chicago, but I had only single mom of 3 kids that didn't let anybody but family and close friends babysit for them. So that wasn't going to work. So I went back into the accounting and said, I gotta pay for these kids. And then, but the whole time this stuff was creeping in.
Yeah, definitely like
I was doing readings since 1985. You weren't even born yet, right?
No, I wasn't. I was born in 96. Definitely really interesting how even when you are like focusing on the quote unquote mundane, you know, life tasks or, you know, those types of things that don't necessarily feed your soul. You can
Sorry about that.
You're so fine. I was gonna say have like water if you want to.
No.
Yeah, definitely. When it's those, you know, events and everything that don't really feed your soul, it's like harder for, I mean, at least for me anyway, where if I'm not like really interested, it doesn't make my soul happy. There's less incentive, there's less motivation. And
way less.
Right. So it's like awesome to me that while you know, like had to essentially continue on this accountant route where you didn't love it, all of this stuff was still like cheering you on along the way, which I see as like synchronicities too.
Absolutely. And I had Daisy one day walked up to me out of the blue. I've been wondering, why do I have to keep having to do this, you know, because I was running to the Mindz Eye and trying to do this stuff, which fulfilled me. After working 57 hours at the other job, I turned around and I'm like, why do I have to do this? And Daisy came out of the back room. She says to me, she goes, do you know something? The reason you're having to work at the other job is because you've done so many years of holistics and metaphysical. You need some of the practical. But you're almost done, she said. And it was within a year or 2 later. I finally was able to get out.
I love that. I think the premonitions like that too are so fun. Like,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I gotta love it. Yeah. So it's when she ever said that to me, I was like, yes.
Like
in
hope,
2018, I walked into it full time, and it's I still do accounting, like for some tax returns and some bookkeeping for a family friend and relatives and stuff like that, a couple of people. And it's so hard for me to get back on that left brain now. I'm a right brain girl when I was 90% left brain.
Yeah, I resonate with that too. I definitely, again, the law school shift and everything from, you know, my college degree going into all of this. I mean, that was personally a really hard transition to make from this way of thinking, this linear way of thinking, to like seeing the big picture.
Yep.
And essentially making them work together was like the biggest process for me, for sure. And a lot of it, I mean, I think it was really helpful that I was personally having these metaphysical experiences, because if somebody else came to me and they were like, I'm outside my body, I'm watching, I'd be like, all right. So I think because, like, it had to have happened to me for me to understand it this way.
And I, as I said, I also found that even to read people, I had this Walton's life that turned into this insanity life. But I don't think I would have understood my clients if I didn't have it all happen.
Absolutely.
So you find out there's a rhyme and a reason.
Totally.
So we do have to wrap it up. So tell them again how they can see your TikTok.
Yeah, so my TikTok channel is Stephanie Amber07, and you can just search that on even the internet or TikTok as well, and YouTube as well. I post free educational content about holistic spirituality on Spirituality with Steph on YouTube.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
And if you find you have a problem getting a hold of her, just let me know, and I will gladly have her. I will contact her. She's my bud. She's in my phone. She does my psychic dinners with me, and
they're fun.
Whenever I nag her too.
They're fun. No, I like it. It's really fun.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is awesome.